Продовжуємо роботу в Україні.
We continue our work at UCMC. The next topic is the new policy of equality of Ukraine 2030, importance for economic growth. Our guests are Olivier Vedrin, president of the Continental European Club, Alina Sevastyuk, head of SHE expert direction for the Office for Import Promotion, Alexandra Humenna, PhD in economics, associate and professor dean of the Faculty of Economics, National University Kyiv-Mohyla Academy, Natalia, Bozhenko, founder of All-Ukrainian public initiative The Child Has the Right, Sergeyeva, founder of the NGO Transparent Choice, Ivanna Shkolnytska, executive director of NGO White Ribbon Ukraine, and later on we will be joined by Tokarsky, deputy minister of regional development, construction and housing and communal services of Ukraine and European integration. Moderator is Veronika, Mudra, head of the White Ribbon Ukraine. Veronika, you're given the floor. Good afternoon to all of you. And this is the third public discussion on new gender policy 2030, and it is dedicated to the importance of equality between men and women for economic growth. During two first consultations, we heard many comments of the stakeholders. That's why we've decided to concentrate, to focus our agenda on economics. And also I would like to say that this is one of the principles we build our agenda. We have the full cycle of the policy, and it is introduced due to Ms. Nanivska, and also supported by Anna Yaroslavna Institute, University. And according to the assessment of the European Commission that worked in Ukraine, legislation process in Ukraine can be compared with the spam or tsunami. And we should hold consultations with stakeholders in order to adopt proper new legislation in Ukraine. So first we should have consultations and then we should adopt the laws, not vice versa. And according to all the indicators, economic equality between men and women, it really matters for economic development of the country. The issue of equal opportunities is the important factor in the legitimacy of society. And if there is no equality, according to McKinsey study, 13 billion will be added if equality will be established until 2020. According to the Institute of Gender Equality, it will help to overcome the level of unemployment, and until 2020 it will provide opportunity to provide 80% of employment in Europe. And the situation in Ukraine, unfortunately, now it needs to be improved because men earns 1 hryvnia 67 kopecks for each hryvnia that a woman earns, and 52 women are not employed. 52% of women are not employed officially. I won't focus on economic indicators. I believe the most interesting is to hear from experts, stakeholders, those people who really implement the equality of men and women. We have representatives of civil society sector. We have representative from France and representative of SHE exports program that specialize in this issue. That's why I would like to give the floor to our experts and to start our panel discussion. Thank you. Good afternoon. I greet everyone who is interested in the topic of broadening economic opportunities for women, who do it systemically and in the public area. I represent the expert program that was started in 2017. What I want to say, I want to share with you, and this is based on 2 years' experience, speaking with different interested stakeholders and including women. We carried out a survey among women in different oblasts of Ukraine, those who have their own business or who are officials, or they play key roles in business. And my main goal, and I want you to remember that the essence of what I plan to say, it is in the practical sphere. These are the recommendations that can be taken into account during consideration of the drafts of national policies and in the process of creation of practical recommendations for NGOs, scientific institutions, and for business, for corporate business or SMEs. So the first thing I want to say, the main conclusion, there should be practical issues in gender equality. There should be proper implementation. And also I would like to say about the spheres in which public dialogue is important and how to spread best practices in the sphere of equal opportunities in the economic sphere in Ukraine. As it was said at the start, the broadening of economic opportunities for women. If we are speaking about equal opportunities on the world scale, it can lead to 12 trillion increase. And if women are included in full in this digital age, this will be 28 trillion, according to McKinsey. So 13 is to improve the situation, but if we include women in the economy properly, this will be 28 trillion. So this is GDP of the United States and China together. And these changes can improve the situation in the world and in Ukraine. The system of work of all institutions now, as I believe, it should encompass equal opportunities and the diversity in English. So this is the umbrella that stresses the importance of this topic, and the different the diversity should be in different areas. About practical aspects that I want to propose today for discussion and to use them in practical implementation after today's discussion. It encompasses several areas. First, data and analytical data concerning equal opportunities for men and women in economy, then entrepreneurship and development of international trade, because now in this digital age, there is export not only of goods but also of services. That's why we should promote participation of men and women in creation of their own business that have export potential. Third is communication and efficient spread of terminology concerning equal opportunities and diversity, and broadening of economic opportunities for women, because sometimes some terms are not properly understood or explained when we are speaking about broadening of economic opportunities for women and about when we are speaking about equality. And also important aspect I want to share is access to resources, financial and non-financial resources, in order to broaden economic opportunities for women and men. And also about the data and analysis, it is important to provide public access to overall list of sources of data, analytical information about equal opportunities for men and women in economic area, for goals of planning and implementation of gender policy at the national and local level, especially now when decentralization is ongoing. Second, it is really important to form new approaches to collection and analyzing of disaggregated data and the use of new indicators of gender statistics concerning entrepreneurship and international trade. How can we do this? In Ukraine, we have big potential in the sphere of the development of new technologies concerning data and analysis, data and analytics. Sometimes they call it big data. And now these systems of registers are improved, and there is also e-governance and national and local level, and it is really important to take into account, not only add some new indicators, but we should take into account the process of processing of this data, and also we should cooperate with universities and scientific institutions in order to be provided with new approaches in information processing to reduce time and resources and to provide better results in this surveys and analysis that provide information not only about what is going on or what is happening right now, but that will be the basis for strategic planning. Third one. It is important to support cooperation with all stakeholders, especially with the projects of technical help and international partners in different countries. It is great that our discussion, that the representative of France joined our discussion, and they see the dynamics in the broadening of economic opportunities for women in France and in the world. So fourth is, it is important to monitor the progress in gender area in different regions. So, and compare with the different countries with the use of modern technologies. And one of the technology may be the visualization with the use of Google Maps, when you may see the different regions and some active actions of women in some areas. 4 years ago, I surveyed working women in Ukraine. I worked in KPMG, and it was difficult to find women in top positions in energy sector. And now we know that a group was formed, a group of women in the sphere of energy, and there is energy club of women in energy sector. And this is a good indicator, because traditionally energy sector is now in high dynamics, and they use also renewable energy sources, and there are more opportunities for women. They may deal with the solar panels, and also some drones may analyze the state and condition of solar batteries. So women, they may see this prospective spheres, and it can dismantle some myths, and it can provide the women with opportunity to work in these areas. Also to promote economic activity among women, and when we analyze open data, we may see that there are many more information on this, but we should have a national survey, both of men and women, because men should participate in this dialogue. And we are speaking not about women, we should speak also about men as well, because we understand that the men dominate in the area of decision making, but there are also women who are in this area, and there should be parity. And also about international trade. This is a powerful driver in order to broaden economic opportunities for women, and women's businesses should be promoted at the national, and especially it is important to develop business at local levels. I took part in discussions with the women at local level due to support of oblast administrations and chambers of commerce, and there is high activity, but sometimes there is lack of understanding where to move, how to develop own business, and there are some practical aspects that women are dealing with. Also about obstacles to women in international trade. We should build dialogue with our colleagues and our countries, and we should also cooperate with the initiatives and with organizations that supported this event, and also we should provide access to women to have financial services, what it means for Ukraine. This is understanding of financial institutions, both at the national level and of separate banks, that there are, they should understand that women, they are real participants of different credit agreements, different loan agreements, and I would like to provide an example. Some woman entrepreneur said that they co-own business with her husband, and she addressed the bank to get a loan, and her claim was rejected. And her husband went to the bank with the same documents, and he was provided with a loan. So when banks assess the risks, maybe something wrong is in the algorithms of the bank in provision of loan, or the officials of the bank do not understand properly that it is important to provide loans to women. They do not understand that this is the powerful drive for the bank, because if they have the successful stories, their bank will succeed as well. And if we're speaking about the world economy, the threshold to enter the markets is lowering, but you may become the participant of the global network of supply. What it means? It means that it is very difficult to create end product, but you may find a partner to build a business. You can become a participant of the global network chain, and this is the object for better understanding, because people do not understand how to search for a partner, how to become a supplier for a big international company, how to become a supplier, for example, for a government of France, and they provide some tenders, international tenders that are transparent, and you may build alliances with local partners and stakeholders in order to reach those international tenders. About social entrepreneurship. Sometimes people forget that one of the active participants of social entrepreneurship, these are women, and sometimes this is forgotten. So entrepreneurship can be different, and there are special rankings that show that women, they are successful in social entrepreneurship, and there are some women open these social enterprises, and when they get experience, they want they want to open such business. Also, I would like to say about communication and spread of best practices. It means that all interested parties should be involved: business power, universities, education, and international partners. And about access to resources. This is one of the most acute topics for business women. This is access to property of local communities and premises of state property for women entrepreneurs and associations of women entrepreneurs. In the last 1.5 years, I see movement in this area. Women want to get united in some public organizations, but they lack the resources in order to start this activity. And local government can help this and support women in this area. Also, a scientific basis of universities should be included. There should be proper think tank involvement to study gender policy, and also innovative activity. It should be well coordinated in order to promote innovative entrepreneurship. And you may see it on the slide. It should correspond the aims of sustainable development of UNO. So public dialogue is really important, and involvement of all interested parties, and understanding that we should be the part of this trend and to implement UNO sustainable goals. Thank you, Alina. So I would like to say that you've mentioned one of very important aspects of this agenda that we develop and that we want to implement. And our work is really practical. So we work not only at legislative area, and the most important is practical implementation for stakeholders. And you are stakeholders, and women entrepreneurs are also our stakeholders. And you've mentioned that in Ukraine, there is such a difficult situation concerning collection of statistics, especially about gender issues, especially about provision of banking services. And the network and Anna Yaroslavna, they have special center of research, and they have the innovative research group, and they will have all information about local resources and not only about gender equality, but investors may see what business and what investments are relevant for some communities in Ukraine. Now I would like to give the floor to Mr. Vedrin.
Speak now.
Merci beaucoup. Thank you very much. Thank you for inviting me to speak about this problem we face also in EU and in France about gender equality. And I think you are right. This is a problem that also must involve men. And because this is part of European values, and I can say part of world values. In France, in 2017, France ranks 11th in the World Economic Forum ranking for equality gender. This is good news. This is a good news, but still a lot of work to do. Still a lot of work to do. Now, the problem of inequality gender in France, if we calculate the loss, this wage inequality generates 62 billion euros of annual losses. And this is a study made by Concord Foundation in France. That's very interesting to see that gender inequality generates a lot of loss in the global economy. And very interesting because that means we have to really work on that because for the world economy, this is a gap and big losses. I want also to a few points. In France, the situation changed last 20 years, as I say to you. This is my generation. The generation before my generation was more, I say, equality gender was not a problem. But in my generation, really began a lot of change. And thank you to our mother, who were engaged in some feminist movement as my mother, because they did a great job. And but I have to underline a fact. The fight for equality gender is in danger. As I said to you now, gender equality is in danger because if we see some figures, we will have gender equality all around the world, not before 2 centuries. And in 2016, that was 1 century. In 2017, 2 centuries, and that's a foundation based in Geneva, who say equality gender will be a reality only in 2 centuries. Why this fact? I think a lot of explanation, like Trump election in USA, for example, and the behavior of Trump, but also conservatism is coming back and populism. And some, I say, religious extremism in Islamic State. But really, the equality gender in the world is in danger. In Europe, I want to provide you some figure and key point. In Europe, as I said, a big change began in the 80s with some law, like the law of the minister Rudy in 1983. In this law, we imposed 40% of women on the board of director of company. In 2014, we wrote a law to sanction company that not respect gender equality. The problem is that today, 60% of companies do not respect this law. Then that means we have continued to do some work. Today in France, women are paid 27 less than men. Equality between women and men is named Great National Cause in 2018 in France. And the government announced a law to fight against violence and sexual harassment. But on the other hand, professional equality is not in the agenda. And we are in 2018. In Europe, the situation in Western Europe, the situation is different. For example, in Iceland, this is the first country in the world to have a law obliging employers to pay women and men equally. We have also in Germany, since January 6, 2018, a new law has allowed an employee who feels discriminated to apply in writing for the average salary of 6 people of the opposite sex in the same position. And I wanted to show you some key points. And I will be very happy for the debate to answer to your question. I sent this morning the text of my intervention with a lot of figures and you will see in the press release I sent this morning. But what I want to say is this problem of equality gender is really one biggest problem we have to face now, because this is in danger. As I said, with a new policy, I think the shock of Trump election is very important, because some person and some men now are not afraid to be like Trump. That means to be more conservative. And I think the effect of Trump is really danger for gender equality. And of course, to face all the, I can say, all the obstacles, all what we have to face, like climate change and all that, I think we need all our forces, men and women. Voilà. Thank you.
Thank you, Olivier. I want also to give a little comment on your speech about the United States and Middle East. So even in the worst conditions in the world, like can happen nowadays, we have to find the opportunities to move forward the gender equality and this general concept of meaning of gender equality for sustainable economic development of the world. For example, Minsk Foundation from Saudi Arabia, they became a head of UN Watch organization, and they financed initiative of Ivanka Trump. Last year, together with the World Bank, she launched the program for women entrepreneurs. So that the core of the program is the micro crediting system for women and for social entrepreneurship. The subjects which mentioned Alina before. So even nowadays, with all the situation in Middle East and with all the situation in the United States, we have to move forward this subject, and it's always possible. And for example, next month in Riyadh in Saudi Arabia will happen the Global Forum of Minsk. That's a foundation of Crown Prince who actually is supporting women's rights, and he gave recently the opportunity to women of Middle East to drive. So he is the one who is promoting that, and he is the one who financed the Ivanka Trump's initiative. So we hope that all that activities in the world will move forward the subject of gender equality, even in the Middle East, even in the United States nowadays. So, я хочу передати слово Наталії Боженові. Боженко.
I would like to give the floor to Natalia Bozhenko. And good afternoon. Why I'm here? Maybe because I had to start my business from the very start. And I faced the problem because it was really difficult. There was lack of information. It was really difficult to do business because there was pressure from my former husband, and maybe the society supports men's business more than resolving women's issue. And we got united with the parents who are single parents. And in some time, we understood that we have majority of women who participated in this project, and officials from legislation and officials from social policy institutions joined us. And in April this year, we concluded a memorandum on cooperation with the White Ribbon NGO, and also the Ministry of Justice joined, and our specialists became family counselors, me and my colleagues who are present at this event. So our main goal is to protect the rights of children, and at the same time to defend parents who live with these children, and in 95% these are women. There's no doubt that protection of rights of women, this is real necessity, and this is a problem of economic character. And now we have the problem of women's rights, and there are old stereotypes, and there should be proper equality between men and women. There should be equal opportunity in economic and political area and educational area, and there should be conditions that provide opportunity for women to combine their work with motherhood. There should be proper labor protection and moral support for mothers, and also provision of leaves for pregnant women and for women with young children. And I would like to say that we have big problems for entrepreneurs, and they do not want to provide employment for women with young children or to women who are pregnant, because there are limitations in the legislation. There are such criteria that entrepreneur, they should open social account, they should provide money, they should pay money to women, and there should be proper opportunities provided to these entrepreneurs, and there should be proper support of such women from the budget. And social services also should be involved in the process, and because entrepreneurs, they just do not want to provide employment to these women, and women do not have proper access to resources to start a business. For them, it is difficult to get a loan from the bank, and they do not have proper collateral to get this loan. And previously, women just were employed within their family, and men, they had all the opportunities to start the business. So when a woman is alone with her child or her children, they should be properly involved because they lack opportunities, and it is difficult to get proper employment for women, and our laws do not provide responsibility equally on men and women. And it is difficult for women to combine work and motherhood. And many mothers, they choose low-paying jobs in order to get more time to deal with their children, and there is no proper support of the state, and maybe and sometimes this state support is abused. And we believe that both parents should be responsible for their children. And if parents live separately and cannot take care of children, so those parents who live separately, they should provide more to mothers who stay with their children and raise them on their own. So there is a norm for payment of alimony, and we believe that the percentage should be increased if mother lost her job. And also, I believe that for me, so some recommendations were provided, and the participants of the project, they believe that mothers should be provided with flexible schedule, and they should have consultations for free, and they should enhance their qualification, and there should be proper educational model in order to implement the right of these women for proper education. So you are the stakeholders, you are those interested parties who should provide their recommendations through NGOs or to the government. Sometimes it is difficult, but you may do it through such initiatives as the Child Have the Right, or through White Ribbon, and you may provide your recommendations. And you are right that in Ukrainian society there is a stigma. If you are a single woman, you only can deal with your career or to deal with your children, and it is difficult to combine. Jacinda Ardern arrived at UNO Assembly with her baby in order not to disrupt her schedule of breastfeeding. And the Prime Minister, she shouldn't choose between being a prime minister of the country and being a mother. And our women, they should have the same opportunities. They may coordinate business, their political or business career, and raising their children. That's why we should make some steps in Ukrainian legislation in order to develop it to international standards to support women entrepreneurship and to provide proper support to those women who do business and who take care of their children on their own. And now I give the floor to our colleague. Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, dear audience. I thank Veronika for giving me the opportunity to participate in this event and for giving me the opportunity to participate in the development of this complex document. And I believe that there are not so many documents like this in our country. That's why we should take special care of this document. And for me, as a lawyer, I worked in a non-governmental area, and also I worked at the national level, at the Ministry of Justice, and in the Verkhovna Rada, and at the local level, at regional administration. For me, it was really of value to work on this document and to make my contribution. But today I would like to focus as a lawyer and as a participant on Transparent Choice NGO. This NGO is created to protect rights of vulnerable groups, women and children, and gender equality. This is our common task, and it corresponds to goals. And women, children, and vulnerable categories of children, the protection of their rights. I believe that this is also about introduction of proper gender policy that will be able to protect these categories. So I would like to focus on legal issues and to speak about some points that were mentioned in this presentation. So the problem of gender equality in Ukrainian society, is deep-rooted, and it's not a secret that attitude to a woman in our society, it is rather pragmatic. Often women work at enterprises and business or in state structures, and when a woman returns home, there is a second job. And this is a stereotype. This is believed to be a norm that women do all household chores, and everyone got accustomed to this. And often they do not understand that it takes too much effort. And women, they do not relax at all. And there is a stereotype in society that children is also a woman's job, and they are responsible for everything in the upbringing of their children. And each man wants that a woman be really beautiful, and she should be clever and everything else, and it should be present. But we believe that we should change stereotypes, and we should start with us, both men and women, in order to deliver information campaigns throughout Ukraine. And I would like to mention such examples, good examples in implementation. The Social Policy Ministry campaign to the program is called Do It With Both Hands, and it promotes the idea that the household chores should be equally distributed between men and women, and this was done through social advertisement, and it promotes values, and these stereotypes should be destroyed. And also, I would like to say about information campaign in the project I Have the Right program. And this is one of the most successful projects that were introduced in the territory of Ukraine. And Stop Violence program and the other programs that were mentioned. And as Veronika said, that these programs are really important in order to support and protect women and children. One more point is about salaries. And we saw that discrimination for each hryvnia that was earned by men, no, vice versa. 1 hryvnia, 67 kopecks of men against 1 hryvnia that is earned by women. And also, as a lawyer, I would like to focus your attention on the fact that we should change our legal basis, we should change our legal code, and to improve the provisions of the labor code. And now employers, they have the opportunity to avoid responsibility and to exploit some categories of people. I do not say only women, but they have the opportunity to use the person to their own benefit and to underpay, or not to pay for more hours. So there should be proper benefits for women to have leave, to take care of their babies, and in this way, we may improve our demographic situation in Ukraine and also to fight some other major problems. about other issues, I would like to focus the attention on child support and elements. I would like to give example from international practice why it is important to support the Institute of Parenthood. I'm speaking about men and women, and to stimulate responsible parenting. For example, in Italy, if a man leaves his family, you know that they marry late in life, because if man leaves his family, he just walks out of his home is only in his trousers. And because they have great support for women, it is supported by trade unions and NGOs. So a person may feel this huge support. And in Ukraine, we do not have such great support of women and young children, and there is big field to work in. I agree with this idea about trade unions, because this is like terra incognito. These issues of gender equality, this is a big issue. You may start and you can work for long years, and we do not have such great trade unions as you have, for example, in France. But we have trade unions, and they should participate. I give the floor to Ivanna Shkolnytska, Executive Director of NGO White Ribbon Ukraine, and she is an expert in vulnerable categories protection. Today I'm going to speak about everybody, not only vulnerable categories. A lot has been said by my colleagues, and a lot of interesting ideas were expressed, a lot of statistics was provided. But I would like to say that now Ukraine have some successes. In 2015, we were at 69th place of the index, and now 61st place. If we are speaking about statistics, we lack statistical data, or there is problem with its relevance. It's not only about gender equality, this is also about other areas of medicine, and we do not have proper statistics there. We do not have proper statistics in financing, the statistics that really reflects reality. I have some data. 53% of women among entrepreneurs. But we say that there is no access to necessary resources, and we have inequality. But this inequality is not direct. Salaries are nearly the same, but due to some stereotypes that exist in society, women, they get lower positions, and they have some business projects that are not too profitable. If we take top 5 of professions where women go, this is management of personnel, accounting, education, administrative personnel, and household personnel. So these are stereotypical professions women join. They are of low pay. That's why we have this gap. And also, during the years of independence, the gap between payment for women and men was never higher than 79%, and this is the really important indicator. We should pay attention to this. If we speak about women drivers in taxis, for 200,000 women, for 200,000 men taxi drivers, we have only 500 women taxi drivers. So we should create conditions for women in order that they be able to work, and also 53% of women, they want to get work with flexible schedule, because they have families, they have children, and for them the situation differs than the situation for men. So we should start in different areas, in financing and banks and scientific institutions. People work, and we should work first of all with people. And also we should work in order that in Supreme Council we have more women. We have only 12% of women in Verkhovna Rada. So children do not have the opportunity to promote issues that are important for them. And if we start the systemic work, taking into account the interests of the society, so we will have good chances with the help of our partners, such as agenda of equality between men and women. And also we should provide proper information campaign for the population of Ukraine in order to provide information about this problem. Because if we ask, do we have gender equality, people say no. Women, they may go where they like. Yes, they have the right to do this, but they do not have the opportunity to do this. So we thank you for joining this consultation, and let's work further, because we have a lot of things that we should do. Thank you very much. And lastly, I would like to say that the most important is that today we have some conclusions of our consultation. This is the introduction of full cycles of public policy in Ukraine, because we are the basic initiative, and the draft laws that are adopted by our parliament, they should coincide with real needs that we have, that women have, and that single women and children have, with those demands that women entrepreneurs have. So there is absence of adequate statistics in Ukraine in healthcare, education, gender equality, and in the sphere of domestic violence. We know that there is only gray statistics and floating figures. So there is necessity to improve collection and processing of information to get proper statistics. Third issue, to provide women with some opportunities to get banking services at the level of men, and to have microcrediting like in the United States, where women have access to cheap loans, and in order that women be involved in social entrepreneurship. And we should pay proper attention to legislative initiatives and amendments that are introduced by the public concerning child support and employment and equal rights for employment for men and women, and in the sphere of stimulation of entrepreneurship, and also maybe some tax quotas, and also some benefits and stimulation of private entrepreneurship in order that they employ more women. So we have 53% of private entrepreneurs. But if this business is registered on this woman, it doesn't mean that she is a businessman. Maybe there is only a registration. Thank you very much. Please join us. We open for cooperation, for real practical actions, and for real practical changes. Thank you.
Чи є ще питання?
Do you have questions to speakers? Thank you. Thank you.